have to touch them. They're just automatically on. All right.
Yeah.
I'm like city council, that's great. All right, welcome everybody to the August 28th of Government Board of Directors meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May be seated. Roll call.
Board Member Connolly. Board Member Durkee. Board Member Ritter.
Present.
Board Member Kimmelshue. Board Member Teeter.
Here.
Alternate Board Member Smith.
Here.
Board Member Arnold. Board Member Goldstein.
Here.
Board Member Calderon. Board Member Pittman. Board Member Lazan.
We do not have a quorum, and so we will move on to our informational items.
Good morning, Board. We'll be starting with agenda item number 10. Is the 2026 Regional Transportation Improvement Program Development Information item. It's really an update to the March BCAG board item that I presented back then. Same item, just an update. BCAG is required to prepare and update a regional transportation improvement program every 2 years. It's one of the requirements as being the designated regional transportation planning agency for Butte County. The 2026 RTIP is required to be adopted adopted and submitted to the California Transportation Commission by December 15th. The other project nominations for new projects. Staff issued a call for projects at the August BCAG Transportation Advisory Committee are due September 4th. So staff issued a call for projects for new project considerations. In the staff report is an update to the schedule for adoption. Project nominations are due by September 4th. What's really changed since March to today is we now have been provided what the STIP fund estimate, how much new programming capacity do we have to entertain new projects. The California Transportation Commission has identified $3.6 million for the next 5 federal fiscal year. BCAG traditionally takes 5% to support its planning, programming, and monitoring to support staff, 5%. So really it's $3.2 million. So this is something that was shared with the BCAG TAC to submit new projects for funding consideration. In the agenda item, the staff report, we identify what the different criteria is. Is it in our long-range regional transportation plan, sustainable strategy? Is there a project study report or equivalent? Has some type of performance and cost-effectiveness analysis been prepared? And the requirement to prepare electronic programming sheets that I use for the RTIP. Because it's only $3.2 million for the next 5 fiscal years, really how many projects can we entertain? First priority is to take care of those projects that are already programmed, state transportation improvement program. Then we consider other projects. BCAG has identified project criteria evaluation that is consistent with the CAPTI, Assignment Action Plan for Transportation Infrastructure. It's been a while. So anyway, what I'm hearing from the Public Works Director is the City of Chico will be submitting a request for all of the programming capacity for the State Route 99 Eaton Road roundabout project. I haven't heard from any other jurisdictions, and I suspect that's because they have a lot on their payroll. For the board's awareness, City of Chico did receive I believe, the lion's share of the STIP programming capacity, the last STIP cycle. I just wanted to point that out. Especially until September 4th, I don't know if any other agencies are gonna submit anything. That's where we're at right now. Once I compile all the information, a draft RTIP will be prepared, and that will be presented to, we're on schedule to adopt, go exercise. Thank you.
That's information. Questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you. We have,
Agenda item number 11 is the State Route 70 Demonstration Fund Balance Repurposing Project. BCAG has become aware of unused federal earmark funds originally secured for the Highway 70 Marysville bypass to Orville Freeway project 5 years ago. These are funds that BCAG worked with Congressman Herger back in the day. By chance, really, a colleague that works at a MPO in the Valley, some forensic accounting, and became aware of these funds and pretty much requested a workshop with Caltrans to say, what are all these federal demonstration funds on the table? Not just us, but other agencies in California. This number has fluctuated. Caltrans has identified $879,000 to our fund balance. The guidance identifies certain criteria on repurposing. That means we have one shot to shift those and repurpose those funds to another project, provided certain criteria is met. Within 25 miles, is it on the federal aid system? Is the, does the agency have a MOU with Caltrans Local Assistance? Can they deliver projects and other stuff? Staff had a meeting with your public works directors just to see, hey, this is news to us. We need to jump on this. In staff's opinion, should U.S. Department of Transportation become aware of California sitting on a couple $100 million of 25-year-old funds, could go away. That's my fear. So these funds are federal funds. They are required to be programmed in the Federal Transportation Improvement Program, FTIP. Staff already knows which projects are programmed, and really going through that exercise, talking with the public works directors, there's one project that really rose to the top of how can we jump on these funds and get these funds tied up or obligated. Once the local agency has the obligation, or E76, that is a promissory note. Those funds can never be rescinded. The project that rose to the top was the City of Oroville's Table Mountain, Washington Streets project. That project is already currently programmed in the FTIP at $2.5 million, I believe, with I think CMAQ funds, congestion mitigation and air quality funds, and highway improvement programs. However, that project is programmed at 50% design, environmental, and 50% design, not fully funded for 100% design. This is a super rare opportunity where, if we are successful and we're the first ones out of the gate statewide to repurpose those funds, it'll fully fund the City of Oroville for that project, support staff resources to deliver that project, and it puts the City of Oroville in a stronger position for active transportation program funds. The city is pursuing over $30 million. For the board's awareness, as part of the ATP Cycle 7 round, we received, I believe, a 91 or 93. Actually, 92. That was close. The cutoff, Cycle 7, was a 96. However, the funding, which traditionally hovers at $550 million for the ATP cycles, was reduced by the administration, and I think it was under $200 million. So they're really in a strong position to secure funds as part of Cycle 8 that will come out next year. It's an information item. Staff is able to, once we get the approval from Caltrans and FHWA, we're able to identify and program those funds through the FTIP. And as far as I know, the city has already submitted all paperwork for that project. What this does also, it really frees up other funding that BCAG has for other projects.
So action is not required on this,
No action, information
and
item.
we can go ahead and do the,
Like finding money under the couch cushion.
And in the attachment, there's a schedule on repurposing, but guidelines keep changing a bit, and there is a vacuum of knowledge, Federal Highway Administration and Caltrans, a lot of turnover, and it's a very, I don't know, niche, I guess. But if we have the opportunity to use those funds once, and we did this exercise once also as part of Forest Highway 171. It was broken up into segments, and we had that opportunity for so many years. I think it's good news. And the reason it's not an action, sorry?
What were the other criteria? You said they had to be within
25 miles,
25 miles.
I don't have them printed. I
bond
think there's a,
capacity increasing.
yeah, it's pretty flexible. But, you know, the main one, is it a certain distance from the original earmark for which it was established? That's the big one. And it has to be in the federal tip. In order for it to be in the F-tip, it also has to be in the adopted long-range RTP SES. And if we don't have to amend the RTP or the F-tip through a formal amendment process, typically takes about 3 months to do. You know, I want to be in front of that line.
Everything lines up really good for this Orville project.
It's rare, and while Caltrans is saying, well, we have so much time, I don't know that for sure. But BCAG will be the first agency to repurpose in the state of California. Just an information item.
And I really appreciate that. I just, for the board's consumption as to how important this fix or upgrade is for Table Mountain, Washington. It's a huge public safety issue because the northern part of Orville is cut off from the main part of town. And so there's no safe connectivity for those that utilize, you know, other types of transportation other than vehicles. And daily, I observe people, pedestrians walking on the freeway between Grand and Montgomery continually. So we just don't have adequate connectivity to that part of town. So this is super, super important. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the board's awareness, about 2 months ago, staff hosted CTC, Active Transportation Program staff, and we did a tour of Orville, Paradise, and Chico, projects that have been delivered, projects underway, and, you know, projects coming up. And we did a site review of Washington and Table Mountain. They have new staff as well. They're aware of our intent and just try to really poke their brain as to a different angle the city can pursue as part of their ATP Cycle 8.
Any comments? Sounds good. Agenda item 12 for information, the California Transportation Commission Town Hall.
All right. The CTC Town Hall. BCAG has been invited to host a town hall. Typically, the California Transportation Commission has meetings where they allocate typically over $1 billion transportation infrastructure statewide every 8 weeks. Those meetings fluctuate, and typically in large cities. 2 times out of the year, they have these town halls. It's an opportunity for them to come. They're not allocating a voting. The commission is, I believe, 10 members. At these town hall events, we get maybe 5 commissioners, but we get the program managers for the various funding programs here to visit the region, to find out and learn, information exchange, what's going on, what are you guys working on, what's important, what's challenging. There's a particular particular interest by the commission that was communicated to us, and that they are very interested in learning about the campfire impacts, updates, lessons learned, and where are you now, 5 years later, right? By now. I'll say. So it's flattering, they want to come back, and BCAG hosted, I believe, 2 of them in the past as part of our advocacy, for the Highway 70 corridor, and paid off. As part of the agenda, the attachment has a draft agenda of the different activities that are planned for September 25th and 26th. In a nutshell, on September 25th, there is a board meeting that morning. Commission, staff, and other guests are expected to be here before noon. We'll get on a bus, and we'll start off with a regional tour. And at that time, the city of the city of Chico will start and give a tour on the bus and talk about their upcoming downtown revitalization project efforts. And then go hang a right by Bidwell Mansion and go by Chico Junior, where there's a roundabout. And that was funded with active transportation program funds. Go up Oleander, that's been redone. Hang a left and come back up on the Esplanade so they can see the Esplanade project that was also done with active transportation program funds. Make our way to 20th Street Bike Bridge, give them a tour of that. That was funded with the transportation program funds too, for I believe 12.3 million in those particular. And from there, go through Marion Park, construction there, and make our way up to Paradise, where there's big interest on what Paradise is doing. We learned what the challenges are. And after Paradise, come back into their hotels, and there'll be a welcoming reception at the barn. Board's invited, just let me know. I know you guys have your own act stuff dinner. A welcoming reception from about 5 to 7 at the barn, with appetizers and refreshments. And the following morning, Friday, in here, starting at 9 o'clock till about 12 or so, we'll have specific presentations. Those are identified. The attachment, Andy and possibly Chris Devine providing an update on Butte Regional Transit, and they'll give an update really on how that's going. I will be joining Caltrans to really give a celebratory presentation on the Highway 70 corridor, what it took to get there, how much that cost. There's some issues on Highway 70 by Marysville High School, Binney Junction. So it's a good time to make a plug for that particular project. $40 million. And followed by presentations by Butte County Public Health, talking on injury prevention, where bike hit heads, followed by the town of Paradise, is on campfire and the project's completed, city of Chico, also ATP, affordable housing, and impacts on the campfire. Paradise gets all the attention on the campfire impacts, but really surrounding communities were also impacted by that. And then Orbit will give a presentation on their efforts on what's going on there also. The plug for Washington and Table Mountain. And we'll close up with an update. The North State Super Region will be having separately North State Super Region meeting in here on Wednesday before. And that's an invitation to California's northern 16 counties. So what that really does is that gets California Transportation Commission staff and Caltrans staff here for these other events. And coincidentally, there's a ribbon cutting on that Wednesday at 6:30 for the 20th Bike Bridge. Information item, happy to feedback, questions.
How much are you counting on all of? Are you looking at Will?
I have no idea. It's, I think Brendan responded, Mark, joining the, bus tour. I think the reception. Friday's presentation.
I just checked and I have worked during a lot of this, so I'll see what I can wiggle out of. I really want to be there.
So, are you done?
Yeah.
So, can Magalia Dam be thrown in on that tour?
A little out of the way. I still don't know the specifics. I'll make you tell you
There's as many people in Magalia as there probably is in Paradise right now. So, I don't know, I guess I feel a little touchy about it being out of the way. And then the other thing is, Clark Road, all the improvements that Caltrans did, I think is pretty awesome, and that is,
That did come out nice.
it really did. So, anyway,
Caltrans, the presentation of, staff with Caltrans is, we'll also talk about partnership projects. That's a good one to bring up. Also Gridley, the reconstruction through Gridley. They're managing that project for a big CAP-M project. And BCAG and some funds from the city of Gridley for programs for the bike and ped improvements on the east side of the highway. Caltrans managing and delivering it.
going back to the dam, as you probably are well aware, Skyway has a washout that's reduced it to one lane in Sterling and Inskip. It's going to be a big challenge for the county. I mean, we're battling it out with FEMA of being additional funding. Well, I wouldn't say battling is the right word, but FEMA always seems to be a battle. So I just naturally jumped to that. So anyway, it's important. I said my piece. Maybe I'll show up at the meeting with a big cardboard sign so I can walk around with, don't forget the Magalia Dam.
Yeah, and I don't know all the details. I saw an email and it said Skyway, Magalia Dam widening. Exactly. We are under a conformity lockdown for air quality.
I'd say it's pretty dynamic right now. Andy knows a little more about it and where it's at. And I don't know if we really need to get into that big of a discussion.
Happy to figure out a path.
Could you say a little bit more about the conformity lockdown regarding air quality?
I can't, but sorry to put you in the spot. Sorry to put you on the spot, but not sorry.
Yeah, recently with President Trump's executive order in California, EV vehicles, I believe that happened in June. Caltrans is kind of sorting it out right now. We've got, last one I got, I believe was a week ago, that we're essentially in a conformity lockdown. What that means is that not entertain any capacity increase for the RTP, which would trigger us to run our emission model. Safe emission now kind of frozen. That's the lockdown. Our emission model until this happened again, or in the past, I believe in 2019. Safe rule, kind of a similar situation. State ended up basically changing the model. Need it. Governor Newsom really is challenging this executive order that was signed. So sounds like there's going to be some back and forth. Not sure how long.
However, currently this will not impact any projects already included in our long-range plan. Have to. Amending them could be problematic. This is why staff, we put so much emphasis, we go through that Herculean effort of doing that RTP SES. That's why it takes, 2 to 3 years to update, and we have a pretty strong list of projects, and that's working closely with all the respective works directors and planning directors.
When we do that modeling, we're looking at capacity So in the future, we're not
Right.
just building for capacity at the current time, right?
Correct, so it models, we model, I think this last one went out to year 25. Doesn't mean we have all the projects to handle all the capacity. We're actually in pretty good shape. Opted on. There is BCAG, PC, and Joaquin Valley, here to adopt their RTPs in the next couple months. They're frozen.
For them.
If the use of funds becomes an issue for California, then BCAG will be there to.
I saw there was a comment in this that said, would leadership of unincorporated campfire communities be invited to?
Maybe, it's all privately funded, and having it catered, and there's room capacity limits. If there's,
And we can't widen our roads,
I'm sorry?
but then we can't widen our roads.
And we can, yeah, I'd have to look at the numbers and the capacity, but if there's an individual or two, I'm sure we can make.
But it's called a town hall, but it is not actually open to the public.
The facilities are, you know what?
might want to change it to urban.
The official town hall is actually Friday here, and that is open.
Okay.
Yeah,
Friday.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. But the regional bus tour
Right.
and the reception, but here Friday, absolutely,
Town hall is open.
yes.
That's a good clarification, so show up on.
That is a good point. Thank you. Response? Rachel?
All right, any other discussion on item 12? Seeing none, I believe we can move to item 13.
I guess Yvonne's gonna let somebody else do an item.
I'll take this.
Starting here in a couple of weeks, we'll be collecting, traffic counts over this fall and next spring. This is something BCAG does every 3 to 4 years to update our travel demand model in preparation during the next RTP. We've contracted with National Data and Surveying Services to do work for us. They actually did it the last round for us. We'll be doing 300+ locations, same as we did last time. What is new this time around is that we're gonna be using cameras. So in the past, we've traditionally used tubes, probably from back to across the roadway. NDS has now moved more into cameras. They've kind of, they tried them a little bit last time out here, and they've really refined them over the past few years, so I know they've been before for projects. Just really wanted to let the board know this will be happening, so I believe September 9th. Start seeing these around town. They go up on Monday, come down on Friday, Thursdays, hours a day. So currently, right now, we're wrapping up the process with roadway projects that have been going on, especially there. It's making projects. So we'll collect, we have 9 open weeks, fall, and I believe 9 or 10 spring. We're hoping to start doing about 30 a week, starting in north side of town in Chico, and kind of Portville and Paradise. Towards the end. Once we get all the data, this is distributed to the local stations. Requests for counts mainly from the commercials. Any questions? Thank you.
I'm excited to see our traffic data. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none. Item 14.
Just an update for the board on our marketing, our rebranding that we've been working on, over the past year, and new services. October 1st is gonna be our launch day for, putting out our new vehicles that are also our electric vehicles. We're also gonna be doing our intercity air transit, hopefully by that time as well. We're also working on the non-emergency portion of the service to see, how we can, fill gaps or not able to be provided by the hospitals, the private or organizations out there that are providing rides. That's where we hope our non-emergency transport service fits in. Also our microtransit, so those routes that are not very well served or utilized by fixed routes, they can be better served by to pull that together after the first of the year. And all of it really is going to be released and pushed out under this new color scheme branding that will go across the services, which each service will have a specific type of designation. Hence the, the B line, by itself is for our fixed route. And then we have the Flex, Lincoln Plus, which represents, our service to Sacramento from Chico that we're working on, trying to identify, and then our microtransit and non-emergency paratransit. We're trying to bring everything in line with one B-line brand, but also identify these sub-brands that are unique to these special services. The examples that I put in there, this is an actual wrapped bus. That's what it looks like, and we're going through that process right now of wrapping the metrics, that color scheme. The goal was to try to bring the color scheme of BCAG into organization. So that's where that color combination comes from. Then we have several of the smaller vehicles, paratransits. We have some new Ford E350 vans that we're going to use for the microtransit. So trying to tailor our acquisitions of vehicles and types of services that must be fit by them and can also be functional in some areas of the county that we don't. So we have a really good group of people with our branding and marketing outfit. Part of that group is Alma, who worked on our non-emergency medical transport, and they're really knowledgeable about identifying and establishing services in very rural and kind of spread out areas, which have a lot of that. So they're currently working on our fare structure, make sure that city paratransit is a fare structure that is reasonable and represents the amount of distance that we have to go in some level of, I call it, it's a little bit of a premium service because it's beyond the standard stuff you have to provide, but nonetheless, the service is extended to people. So we got to come up with a fare structure that makes good sense for them, that's usable in some of the outer areas of the county, but also provide some level of sustainability service. So part of our branding operation is new signs. I included a couple of those options in there. Signs that we're going to put up at the new stops and shelters, and then we're going to test out some of these commercially industrial strength type sidewalk stickers at locations where there is no shelter or can't be accommodated, but is a stop that people that identifiable as a stop. Poles with signs on them, if they're already in place, that's relatively easy to put a new sign on, but new poles in places where they don't exist. As simple as that seems, is very complicated to stick a pole in the ground and steer clear of utilities and property and such like that. So, our goal is to really start turning over this system and branding it and having this look out there, launch it on October 1st, and hopefully we'll be able to have it very visible by the first and second quarter of the year. And we're really hoping that this Sacramento Eco connection through Yuba Sutter is something that is gonna make a lot of sense. I've been in contact with Rava, and they are going to start with their service from Reading to Sacramento down I-5, which makes pretty good sense. The Reading to Chico connection really wasn't driving a whole lot of service or utilization, which is understandable. So them taking their service down to Sacramento along I-5 and connecting through the county, and us establishing a connection largely down 70 with connections over to Biggs and Gridley to get to Orville, to shuttle to Orville to catch that. We're hoping that between those two efforts, combination with Yuba Sutter, that getting better connection down to Sacramento. And that's Chico to Sacramento effort really is more feasible for us to pursue as the rail has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat here. Not that it's totally gone, but I do want to utilize the funds that are available for a service to get to Sacramento for something that, so, the only real, hurdle is going to be deciding how we can bring the right type of vehicle to Sacramento. So, whether that's a capital expense to actually own it, or if we lease it, we're going to try to get all that figured out. So hopefully in September, we may have a little bit more information on that. Just an update.
Are all of the buses gonna be rewrapped?
Yep, we're going to convert all of them.
So, I can't remember what we decided at the last meeting regarding the advertising. Right now, I think the buses we have right now are awesome, and they've completely increased our calls to behavioral health, and
So I have been back and forth with the advertisers, told them that we were going to start limiting where they could put their advertising so that we could have more of a presence with the brand. And I think we've worked out a pretty good, so they understand that that's what we want to do. And I told them that advertising is not going to totally go away because it is a revenue producer for us that really contributes to updating stops. But nonetheless, we've identified specific areas on the busway, and we came up with the branding design specifically to accommodate continued advertising. It just won't be like the full-size wraps. They can be a little bit loud and over the top. They do bring in good revenue, but I'm just limiting the full-size wraps to just a few vehicles. But the goal is to try to get as much of our advertising and branding out there as we can for us first, establish it, and we'll gradually increase the advertising. And they're fine with that.
The county advertising is really good because it's using all the same colors as
Right.
BCAG, so it almost is reinforcing our current.
Yeah, those color schemes for those advertisements actually work.
Like, I don't know.
Like, call us
suicide
first
prevention.
in an emergency. No, we don't use the word suicide anymore. But yeah, having an emergency, call us first. Need help, call help, and it has the crisis line. So, yeah.
And those have been helpful.
Yeah, it really
That's great.
increased our crisis line calls, so.
And we can, we can expand those on the bus shelters too, if that makes sense. So, Lamar, who is our group over there, they're really pretty proactive. For a nationwide, large nationwide corporation, they've got a good local group that their goal really is to understand, well, what works for you guys locally?
I just think the buses, because they're moving throughout the county.
Yeah.
It's just a moving billboard,
Yeah.
and it's maybe in a car, whereas a bus shelter, you're reaching the person who's in the shelter, but, you know, you see the bus go by and you go, oh, there is a number I can.
Our paratransit vehicles do not typically have any advertising on them, which I'm gonna ask them to expand that a little bit, particularly on the tails, the back ends of them, because that's a pretty wide open space. And, you know, they say that the marketing shows that the numbers really aren't that good for that stuff. And I was like, I think I might disagree with you, because there's a lot of people that live rurally away from the downtown centers that will see that. So, they're open to that.
Just share a personal story real quick. My father, he's in his 80s, vet, had a stroke. I'm now taking care of him. A deadlift. Preparing for this meeting this morning. So I called. Really nice fella. Super helpful. So I set up an account, and so I'm going to be able to get my pop to an eye doctor appointment without breaking my back. And so it is an amazing service, but here I am, part of the process, and it's like I'm thinking about marketing and kind of getting that information out to the folks. So really appreciate it. So I'll let you know
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah.
So,
My dad as well. I have my dad on the paratransit system.
but you're not prepared for that. You know,
Yep.
people who are lifelong, you know, ADA, right? But all of a sudden you have an incident, you don't have the $50,000 van and all those pieces. You're just dealing with the moment. So
Yeah.
anyway,
The
thank you.
affordability of the ride really is great, for those people, and they are on time, and I really have a lot of.
Just great phone etiquette and really good.
Just a reminder, I'm a curmudgeon on taking away from advertiser space. I just wanna.
I know that is a balance, so I talked about that. I said, hey, I don't wanna have us out front a little bit for a while. You guys are still gonna be there, but can you let us be in the front for a little?
Tell the advertisers if they're not happy with your plan to call each and every board member.
So far, most of the advertisers, particularly the bigger ones, they understand that. That's not really what I expected, but. Yeah, I don't even, we just get a share. Only thing we do is if we make sure that there's a certain level of criteria that goes into the advertising so that something doesn't come out that scares the public or a lot of criticism, which, that's the only one that really has drawn so much fire.
You could put Disney on a bus and someone would be offended.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my God, I can't believe it.
Yeah, then I'll voice my comment, love to have the windows have a covering.
Yeah, you have to be able to look, that's part of the perforated wraps, so
Yeah, I mean, even the little holes are kind of.
Yep.
All right, great. So I think we can move on to, still don't have a quorum, so I guess we're moving to item 14 then.
Any comments from the floor?
Come on, Steve, gotta have something for us. Don't call me every day. Give me a few minutes.
Okay, great. Well, shall we move to adjournment then? All right, well, then the next meeting of the BCAG Board of Directors will be September 20th.
And that will probably be a fairly good size. A lot of consent items, but we'll have a few action items.
Right, and it'll be followed by our bus tour and then town hall and all of that.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Already.
Yeah, 'cause